Welcome back to another rendition of the Don't Take Us Seriously podcast. It's your boy O,
It's DJ.
and we got quite the topic for y'all. So I know y'all seen, the previous episode where we spoke on Eric Bieniemy and coaching situation and the turmoil going on. And this week we want to talk to y'all about another head coaching position that the fans have more of a problem with than they probably should. We just gonna get into it. Browns fans and Kevin Stefanski. Now, for those of you that don't know, even though I'm assuming you all know if you're watching our podcast, the Browns are an organization that has been in nothing but turmoil for the past 23 years. Their first semblance of positivity and light, the first time that they've been able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, has been with Kevin Stefanski as their head coach. But for some godforsaken reason, these Browns fans are just ready to hang him at high noon. I can't make this shit up, yo. Their first two consecutive winning seasons. Yeah, they didn't make the playoffs this year, right? But first two consecutive winning seasons. And they have not had a winning season without Stefanski as their head coach. And they haven't made the playoffs damn near since I've been born. And they want to neuter and spade this man, bro.
I don't know. I just don't know, man. I can't make real thoughts of this. Because you look, they don't know what stability is. They haven't had it in so long, that they just think that tragedy is normal. I mean, do you remember Eric Mangini? Like way back, and I gotta kind of like read this to you guys because it's that wild, the history. Eric Mangini got hired by one GM. I'm not gonna bore you with the names of the GMs. He got fired by another GM, not the one that hired him. Okay, that's maybe it's a one-off. Then that GM, after firing Eric Mangini, the former head coach back in, I think it was 2010, 2011. It was way back then. Then Pat Shurmur gets hired by the GM that fired Eric Mangini. Then they kept that. Then another ownership comes in, so that's a new owner that's coming in with Pat Shurmur as the coach, and another GM that ends up coming with the ownership. Pat Shurmur gets fired for Rob Jasinski. What is this? There's been multiple stints within the Browns where they've had 2 or 3 coaches on the payroll multiple times. Inconsistency, instability.
But there's more to that. Let's not forget the fact that in this same time span, they've hired Hugh Jackson, who for God knows why he got a head coaching job. And then on top of that, the guy that took Stefanski's job when we thought Stefanski was going to have the head coaching job, in Freddie Kitchens.
I really don't understand why they get so worked up, and now that they're in this window that they feel that they're in, and they've got a right to feel that way. But we'll talk more about that later. There's still more turmoil to go through. We got to go through the pages. So before Hugh Jackson, before all of that saga, which happened a little later. Remember, I just mentioned Rob Jasinski. So there's a little story with Rob Jasinski with the Browns. The Browns are so unstable that they left him off the bus after week 16 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They left him in Pittsburgh. They didn't let him come back on the bus. This is not Varsity Blues. This is not Friday Night Lights. This is an actual NFL team. This isn't college. This happened. I really don't know how a team that has done things like this, that they've been so poorly run in the past, can even complain for a second about Stefanski. The man has done nothing but bring stability to the head coaching tree. Has gotten coaches plucked off of his offense because it's working, it's fluid, and then you also was in a line with the GM. There hasn't been a firing within the tree in a long time.
Bro,
wow, stability, it works,
bro. It's even crazier because you mentioned Jimmy Haslam a couple times, and to think about the fact that they had the opportunity to hire Sean McDermott, but they was like, no, let me go with Hugh Jackson. And Hugh Jackson, he apothecary out here selling fucking snakeskin oil, bro. Like, could sell salt water to the ocean, bro. With the way he fucking swindled the Browns, and that had to obviously be one of the worst hires, if not the worst hire the Browns ever had, all under Jimmy Haslam.
You know, I like the fact that you brought up how bad of a hire that was with Hugh Jackson. So Mike Pettin, before Hugh Jackson and all that, there's a time when Mike Pettin, he ended up getting hired, and he was a defensive coordinator for the Packers way back when. We won't get into those details. So after the Stefanski stuff happened, no one wanted to get hired by the Browns so bad that they had to hire a guy that was completely unqualified, brought him in. The only achievement that he brought to the Browns was that he actually had Kyle Shanahan, the Super Bowl appearing coach for the San Francisco 49ers. He's had two teams that legitimately can make the argument for that should have won the Super Bowl for at least 2 times in the last 5 years. You can make the argument. You had him on the coaching staff. So you go from this is the only achievement that Mike Pettin brought to the Browns because, you know, his defense was atrocious. And Kyle Shanahan comes up, and what do? You have the golden goose and you give him Johnny Manziel. You guys, this is a movie. This is a movie script. Even when you look at Johnny Manziel, which I'll give it away. When they drafted Johnny Manziel, Kyle Shanahan proceeded to leave the following year. So that's how that ended.
Would you stay? Would you stay for Johnny Football?
Of course not, especially when you hear stories like this. So there's actually some evidence out there that actually shows that Jimmy Haslam spoke with a homeless man. I don't know at what point it was, but he spoke with him before the draft, and the homeless man said to draft Johnny Manziel. No one in their right mind wanted Johnny Manziel in the first round. Jimmy Haslam, not saying that he listened to the guy, but, well, the thing happened anyway. He drafted him in the first round, and won't you know, the guy sucked.
I don't get it, bro. I don't get it. And like I said, bro, Hugh Jackson, of all people, like the same Hugh Jackson that made the Browns the first defeated team in NFL history.
Not undefeated, defeated.
No, defeated. 0-16 defeated.
Let's also not forget they were the first defeated team, and they also were a team that won a game. They won a game and went 1-15 during the tenure with Hugh Jackson, and they threw a parade in Cleveland. There's multiple stories here. There's multiple movies here.
Sometimes I don't even have words to summarize this, bro. Like, how do you even put a statement to explain the infinite conundrum that is the Browns organization? Like this, it's a dumpster fire on wheels, bro. And they finally put the fire out. They still rolling. It's still a whole lot of shit going on. Things are starting to go in the right direction. They finally put the fires out, and the fans are like, "No, pour gasoline on that shit, bro. Get it back started."
Right. Just no. It's getting a little cold now. It's like, no, you're putting it out. This is what it's supposed to happen.
My question is, who are they going to hire to right at this moment? Who did they have the opportunity to hire? Like, who's going to come in and steal the show right now?
There's no one that's really available that you'd really, really want. You could go back to college, looking at the guys in college again if you really want to, but Kellen Moore doesn't seem like he's capable. There aren't guys that really look the part. They treat, like, the Browns organization has treated NFL coaches like a pilot gas station. Like, this isn't a truck stop. You don't come in for a hot shower and then proceed to leave. Like, that's how the Browns have been operating for so long that they think that's normal. Like, there's a reason they haven't won a Super Bowl since like the 50s.
And then on top of that, right? Let's talk about Kevin Stefanski's stint as the Browns head coach, right?
Yeah.
In year one, right? Mm-hmm. You had Baker Mayfield. Kevin Stefanski found a way to make the world like Baker Mayfield and made the playoffs with Baker Mayfield at the helm. Year two, more Baker Mayfield.
And get this, the Browns fans bought in. They bought into Baker. They thought he was great.
He doubled down.
Yes.
They put all they got all their ducks in a row and was ready to tell us that Baker was a top 5, top 10 quarterback.
Remember, they were even doing contract negotiations with Baker. And the Browns finally got Jimmy Haslam to chill out. What's the name? Let him cook. Let Stefanski do his thing. Like, stop getting in the way.
Like I said, year two, a double dose of Baker, drama, BS. And year two was shaky. Year 3, most of the year, with any other team's probably third string quarterback as the starter and missed the playoffs by a game.
You know, it should have really been the kicker. And you mentioned it earlier when you misspoke, but I'm going to bring it back, though. It should have really been the red flag when they hired Mr. Duck Dynasty and Freddie Kitchens. After Hugh Jackson, they promoted him. It should have been the red flag that they did that because of Baker. And they thought, oh, yeah, like Baker, it can be something. No, he sucks. Let's not forget.
There was nothing there.
It wasn't the coach. There was no talent either. It was both.
Imagine John Dorsey made the decision to take any other quarterback whose name wasn't Baker Mayfield. Imagine where they'd be right now, bro.
Yeah.
Like, granted, I think that them getting Deshaun Watson puts them in a better situation than any of those guys that they could have drafted. But imagine where they possibly could have been in that year. In the year they made the playoffs with another quarterback at the helm. Last year with another quarterback at the helm. Yeah. And this would probably be that quarterback's year 3. On the verge of getting a fat ass contract or something, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, we'll even give him credit that, Josh Rosen, it would have been a bad pick. But everyone else in that, not everyone, but you would have been better off with Sam Darnold. You definitely would have been better off. You would have been better off. You've been much better off with Josh Allen. I mean, you want to talk about a Super Bowl? You probably would have got one by now. And then you also would have been fine with Lamar. You would have been able to ascend and have chances, at least better than what this ended up being. They're coming after Stefanski, and he just made Jacoby Brissett look like a legitimate quarterback. Like, they just made him look like a real deal starter, to the point he was playing so well that when Deshaun Watson's suspension was up, they were pounding the table like, oh, we need to yank Deshaun and put Jacoby back out there. I was like, no, he's not better. He's rusty. He hasn't played in over 200 days.
Just so y'all know, right? We are both Ohioans. We are both Akronites. Neither of us are Browns fans, but we both support our hometown team. Mm-hmm. Which is why watching this bullshit commence and continue to go on is just like, come on, man.
And just we got to keep piling it on just a little bit. He'll identify when he's wrong. I mean, he went out and got Jim Schwartz. I don't know if Browns fans, this has really clicked for them. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, though. When a guy that's got 2 Super Bowls on his resume, when he comes out and he picks to go to the Browns, he's not going to an organization that's unstable, right? If he already has the Super Bowl.
No, that's solid facts. You don't get a coach of that caliber and your organization is not trending in the right direction, at the bare minimum, trending in the right direction. Especially a coach of that caliber doesn't go work for a head coach that is incompetent. Like, that's the bottom line. Winners don't work for fucking peasants or peons. Just say it.
I don't get it why that doesn't that doesn't turn the wheels in Browns fans head. That doesn't make sense to me. When you get coaches plucked off of your offensive assistants, and then you get Super Bowl winning defensive coordinators to come to your organization, that means things are good. Be happy.
To add to it, right? They got Bill Callahan, probably the highest demanded offensive line coach currently available in the league.
I mean, he just got offered to be an offensive coordinator for the Jets, and he turned it down.
To come be their fucking offensive line coach, bro.
It's not like every running back he touches doesn't turn to gold. I mean, DeMarco Murray with the Cowboys, Nick Chubb with the Browns. I don't know why they don't believe.
He said, "You know what? I'm staying here. I'm happy here." Could have easily went and got another job in a better position, higher paying position. He said, "No, I'm gonna stay where I'm at. We making money over here, baby." You don't do that if your head coach is a dickhead.
It's just so easy to make fun of them, man. It's so easy to make fun of the organization. I guess when you've been going upside down for so long, I guess you get vertigo. I guess you just forget which way is up.
I feel like Browns fans have been living in the negative for so long, they don't understand what positive looks like. I think that's what it is. I think they've become so accustomed to the tomfoolery and foolishness, and Stefanski's finally trending things up, and the organization is finally making the appropriate decisions, spending money where it's supposed to be spent, building a team the way a team is supposed to be built. And they're like, what is this shit? We've never seen this. Duh, you ain't never seen this shit before.
Right. And I don't think they really look at the details too closely, just because when you look at they just went and hired the special teams coach away from the Colts, who was getting head coaching offers with the Colts. He was one of the final candidates. For you to get a guy that was a head coaching candidate, to get him to come to your organization as a special teams coach, that means that he probably was a gem in the rough to keep him as a coordinator when he obviously did good last year. If he was getting getting a candidacy to be a head coach, that means that people want to latch onto it. That shows respect amongst your peers, amongst the coaching ranks. I don't really know why people just don't quite get some of these things. The wide receivers coach got plucked. He's gone. I already mentioned the QB's coach got plucked and he went to the Cardinals. Like, this means things are good. It doesn't mean things are bad.
It's almost like you don't hire incompetent staff. Right, if your team is in turmoil, you don't say. I mean, unless you're the Browns, obviously, like we've already recounted multiple times. But you don't go, "Hey, we're having QB problems. Let's go steal the quarterback coach from the Browns because he sucks." No, that's not what you do. You say, "Oh, damn, the Browns are having some success over there, right? And their quarterback coach must know something. Look at that. We'll pay you to do something else over here.
Let's go do what they've been doing because it's working. And you're actively trying to get rid of what's been working for you. Make it make sense. I can't. It's just weird.
And on top of that, right? I know we beat a dead horse, but it don't matter because it just brings the point home, right? The first 15 minutes of the video. The Browns are known for making knee-jerk reactions. And they finally have a coach that is the picture-perfect poster child of stability. Offensive staff and defensive staff that Stefanski probably knew by like week 8. This is gone. But instead of causing any turmoil, instead of bringing unnecessary tension and turmoil to the locker room, he's like, no, they got their jobs for now. We'll deal with this shit on the back end. Everybody knew Joe Woods was gone after like week 8 or 9. Everybody did. But instead of bringing unnecessary attention to Joe Woods, bringing chaos to his boat, rocking the boat unnecessarily, he was like, don't worry about it. End of the season, he gonna pack his shit. But for now, he my defensive coordinator. I stand with him. That's what stable organizations do. You rock with it, and then when you got to deal with it, you deal with it. Instead of rocking the boat in the middle of the season and causing more fucking problems.
You know somebody that caused problems like that? Albeit, I'm happy for him. He went and got a Super Bowl after he left the Browns. Before that, he was releasing videos he was having his dad release videos out to the media, leaking it out, showing how Baker was missing passes to him when he was wide open. Things just happened to the Browns.
It's crazy. It's crazy that you say that though, right? Because Baker wasn't any less drama than OBJ was. And these are the guys that the Browns were like, these are the guys we want. Now, granted, I definitely understand wanting OBJ, phenomenal talent, especially when healthy and can stay on the field. You want to add a heavier load to an already unstable foundation? Like, I don't. That's like me getting on the squat rack and I can't squat 450 comfortably and I'm gonna add 90 more pounds.
And then you get mad when he barks, when he ends up getting pissed off because it wasn't the right way to go about it, but he was open. and even if the play wasn't drawn up for him, we knew he was getting underutilized by Baker. But what did Stefanski do?
Openly underutilized.
Right.
Like,
but what did Stefanski go around and do?
Bro, so underutilized that the world was like, yo, is OBJ just ass? Legit.
We started
legit. It was a legit consideration that OBJ was washed, not worth it. And then they trade him to Rams. And he's right back.
He got released. Remember, he got released.
Yep, you're right. I apologize. I misspoke.
Released a first-round pick on this guy, and he got released
after 2 years.
But Stefanski, to his credit, it's ridiculous that it came to this point that you had to release a talent like that. But when he's creating drama in the locker room, you don't want to divide the locker room. You don't want this to be a TO situation. You cut bait with the guy, you let him go, you cast him free. The locker room's able to stay intact, albeit with Baker at the helm. So how intact really is it? But after that, you have another instance that comes up to show later on. Baker's long gone by then, thank God. And you have Jadeveon Clowney, who has a whole situation where he thinks he's being underutilized and he's not getting on the field enough, or he's just not the situation. He doesn't like the situation of the defense. He comes out and he speaks to the media about it. He doesn't address this in the locker room. At least not. He should have kept it only there, I should say.
Yeah.
It continues to go forward, and the Browns said, "No, pack up your shit. You done. You out of here. Bye-bye. You're gonzo.
Cut the fuck. Stop the bleeding."
As you should. But no, Browns fans are like, that's not a good organization. That's what good teams do.
Yeah.
No one man's bigger than the team
at all. That's why. Prime example, Bill Belichick, right? He like, look, I'll pay you this, but if you want that shit, you can go find that shit somewhere else. I go get somebody to do your job for the amount that I want to pay him.
I guess the thing that really like bothers me is that the Browns have almost came to the point where they forgot what it's like. They forgot there's always next year. Those days weren't that long ago. There's always next year was just like 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Sorry, 7 to 10 years ago.
They can see that shit through the window. They can see those days on the other side of the lawn, bro. Like, like they look out the window when that morning dew coming down and they see that shit right there. That memory not too far removed. Like it's right. Y'all, matter of fact, fuck all that. It's a core memory. Y'all, most of these Browns fans dealt with this shit for a vast majority of their life. And the crazy part is they've never seen a semblance of what they have now until Stefanski became their head coach. The light never shined this bright, but now y'all want to bring the moon back out.
They're like, nah, darkness, everybody, darkness. So like, no, don't go to the darkness. The line is go towards the light. Like, what are you doing? It's like they believe they really smelling their own ass right now, because you go and look and they're talking about, we're actually addressing things, we're actually doing stuff, and now we want to change that because it's Super Bowl or bust. No, you don't. You don't see the Niners trying to get Kyle Shanahan out of there when they haven't made it to the Super Bowl in a couple years. Because it's actually working. You can't win every year. Not to mention, this is the first time in the entirety of that organization existing that they've had a franchise quarterback. First time. Kevin Stefanski said, I'm going to go get the guy that works for me. Fuck what we got to pay him. It is what it is. Get him here. You overpay for things that are worth it. You know what? I got a question for you. Do you think that a Super Bowl is actually realistic for the Browns now? Not they have to win it this year, but do you think there's a chance? Duh. When has that ever been an option for the Browns?
Here's the crazy thing, brother. They went and brought in a worthwhile defensive coordinator. Stopped the bleeding there. Got rid of a quarterback that wasn't getting them nowhere. Stopped the bleeding there. And not only did they get rid of a worthless fucking quarterback, they brought in a franchise guy. A guy that probably should have 2 MVPs, realistically speaking.
You can make the argument.
Talented in every aspect of the word, in every aspect of his game. Significantly talented. Probably generationally so. They've never had this. For how long can you remember? How far back can you recount where we've had discussions about the Browns having a good O-line and no quarterback, or a solid quarterback and no O-line, no weapons? The Browns having a solid offense and a good defense at the same time. The stones have never fell so perfect for the Browns ever. They were always lacking significantly crucial aspects of what makes a Super Bowl caliber team. And now they have the defensive personnel, a defensive coach, offensive personnel, offensive coach, and a fucking leader.
With no drama to match. I can't remember the last time that the Browns had actually no, I can't remember the last time the Browns had quarterbacks that were at least at this caliber. I have to go back to when I was a baby. You have to go back to Brian Sipe. You have to go back to Brian Sipe. You have to go back to Bernie Kosar. Yeah, the Cardiac Kids. You have to go back to Otto Graham. My dad was a child. Like, you have to go back so far to remember when Brown's relevancy was actually 2 words that went together in a sentence, and they want to throw that away because Nick Chubb isn't getting the ball enough.
And on top of that, you gonna do? You don't got Nick Chubb no more. You can't run his legs into the ground if you want to win a fucking Super Bowl, or if you want to win at the highest level. Jesus Christ, Browns fans, please, for the love of God, remember where you were and remember how far you've come from that place. Please.
You'll fall just as fast.
The franchise actually has a semblance. This is actual stability. And this is what winning franchises do. They draft talent, unity between front offices and coaching. The organization actually looks, it looks like a winning organization. This looks like they look like a franchise. They don't just look like another football team.
Right. They're not a bunch of average Joes out there.
You're not playing with a bunch of dudes you got off the fucking street.
Finally get the X's and the O's, and now you want the Billies and the Joes. But let me just say one more thing. Browns are in a conference that is front loaded with quarterback talent. I mean, you got the likes of Trevor Lawrence. You got the likes of, I know I'm a homer for him. I'm not homer. I'm a fanboy for him. But you got the likes of Trevor Lawrence in your conference. You might have the likes of Lamar still in your conference. You got the likes of Patrick Mahomes. You got the likes of Josh Allen. You got the likes of Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. It's never been a time when you needed a franchise quarterback, a true top 5 type guy on your team.
More than now. Never more than now have y'all ever needed this. And not to mention, 2 of those guys that he just named are in y'all division.
Right.
2 of them.
So you're going to have to go through them. You're going to need a guy like this in order to get through a guy like this. So
sit back, relax, and watch the show that Stefanski puts on for y'all this season. And allow this man to show y'all and continue to show y'all. You finally have something to be happy about. Sit back, relax. And just don't go, and please just stop going so crazy about firing the first head coach in history that has brought y'all a semblance of peace. I'm just letting y'all know y'all can be back to being the Texans tomorrow.
And as always, guys, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with a friend if you like what we got to say. If you guys got any other topics or anything like that, leave them in the comment section below, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. This is Don't Take Us Seriously. Peace, guys.
Peace.